Before the break, we asked which instrument is made up of more than 70 pieces of wood. Could it be the violin, xylophone, or bagpipes? It's a violin! That can't be right.
I thought it must be the xylophone.
I thought so because you're hitting the different bits of wood. Have you got any comment? No comment. Welcome back to the show with Yasmin and Andrew. Let's remind you what's still going. We just had the show praised as the best one we've done this year by a viewer. In a moment, our workplace it's worrying that actually because it is October. Our workplace diversity scheme's a good idea. Last year, the museum hired its first female security chief, but critics claim she was only given the role because of her so-called feminisation policy. What do you make of that diversity hiring? 0207 862 2222. Then is life better in the city or the countryside? David Beckham says he's loving life in the sticks as it gives him a sense of calm and contentment. Are you a convert like Bex, or do you think urban life is best? Then a few more stories from the papers and everywhere else, and we'll be joined by the Father Brown star Tom Chambers. We'll talk about cosy crime dramas and his new stage adaptation of Inspector Morse. He's a lovely guy. Can't wait to see him. At 11:30, Storm will be asking if the Chancellor is right to blame Brexit for the state of the economy. We've already had a bit of a dust-up over there. At 12:30, Vanessa will take your calls on whether you would stick with your partner if they had been jailed. This is how you get in touch, and I'll give you a little album artwork question, if I may, if you missed it earlier. Here we go. The band and the title, please, of the album the shop assistant is about to produce. There we go. What's it called? 1980, I can tell you. 0207 862 2222 is the number to call while you're thinking about that. If you ring from a landline, well, the good news is we've kept the price down. I know inflation's 3.8%, but it's been 16 pence for a while now. Mobiles may be dearer. So if you missed the show, you can now stream it on YouTube at 5 p.m. Search for Jeremy Vine on 5. Just make sure when you go on YouTube, if you could like and subscribe, that really helps us keep track of who's there. Thank you very much indeed. And then we got the traditional ways of getting in touch. I'm not talking about letters, the postage system. I'm talking about old school Twitter, Insta, Blue Sky, Threads, TikTok, and the old stager, Facebook. So all of those and the album title question. This is amazing, brilliant album, Roxy Music. What does it have on? Over You, More Than This. Good songs.
They're still going, aren't they?
Same old. Yeah, Brian Ferry is an age now. He might be 80 or so, but yeah, they're still going. I mean, they're not really anymore.
I've read that they've done that stuff recently.
Yeah, they've. Wow, I think so. Yeah, I mean, I'd love to go and see them again. Our workplace diversity scheme's a good idea. The recent jewellery heist at the Louvre is being blamed on so-called woke policy. Last year, Dominique Buffin became the museum's first female security chief. She's in the hot seat now, that's for sure. The museum's director had previously said a feminisation of recruitment was important. The MEP Marion Maréchal, who's Marine Le Pen's niece, said Buffin has been hired in the name of gender equality policies. She's calling for her to resign. And she may well have to resign because she's head of security. But the question is whether it's a DEI thing, as they call it in the States.
Yeah, I mean, the question is, if it was the case that she was hired, that she happened to be the best person for the job, this was a pure meritocracy, there isn't an issue here. I mean, there is an issue insofar as whoever is in charge of security in such a humiliating heist, the buck stops with them. So whether this individual was male or female, they'd probably have to go. But they should be looking into whether the appointment was she the best candidate for the job? Maybe not, just simply because, as you say, the head of the Louvre had said that she was persisting with a feminisation policy within recruitment. And my question about all of this is, why would individuals, women, minorities, want to be patronised in this way, want to be said, you need a special leg up? Because what it also does is it makes people sceptical about why people are in certain roles. I tell you what,
or do you disagree?
God, what a ridiculous argument.
How?
I was the first columnist of colour ever in the national press. I was a D&I hire. Yeah. I was really proud of the fact that they'd worked out that an all-white, largely male staff needed to change. I have no embarrassment. And I have just been shortlisted as columnist of the year at my age. So don't give me rubbish.
Wait, Yasmin,
no.
let me ask you.
Let me speak. Let me speak.
All right, as long
so
as you
the
let me speak.
idea that D&I is always inferior or lowering standards, it's just rubbish talk by people.
Well, that's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is that if you have a meritocracy and a hiring system that hires by merit, you end up with...
It's never that.
Wait a minute. You end up with natural diversity anyway. Now, in your case, let me ask you, Yasmin, you've won all sorts of accolades. You've done extremely well in your career. Are you telling me that that isn't because of your merit, because of your talent?
No, but I wouldn't have got in unless the editors there had decided, actually, we need to bring somebody in who's a woman and a brown person. And that was patronising. But boy, am I glad they patronised me.
There's a recent example I want to show you. This comes up a lot. Day 11 of the Trump presidency, there was a plane crash in Washington. You will have seen this.
Yeah, and I know who he blamed.
And we expected the president, because this is what presidents do, to say, what a terrible tragedy, I'm thinking of all the families. It wasn't what Trump did. He said that it was caused by diversity hiring in air traffic control, and he gave us a list.
The FAA's website states they include hearing, vision, missing extremities, partial paralysis, complete paralysis, epilepsy, severe intellectual disability, psychiatric disability, and dwarfism all qualify for the position of a controller of airplanes.
This is what the problem is.
That's what he says.
Yeah. What rubbish. It was total rubbish. But this is where it's coming from.
Right, though,
America has now banned D&I.
DEI.
We say diversity and inclusion.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm so sorry.
Whichever term you
say it. I'm sorry. I thought you...
And DEI is used somewhere.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
And so all the funding is being withdrawn. And it's really interesting that Mackenzie Scott, the ex-Mrs. Bezos, is now pouring billions into this, what is, I think, an essential part of change. But with France, let's return to France. France is a really sexist society. And it's only after Me Too that French women started doing what women in Britain had been doing for a much longer time. And they were only beginning to get a few steps in to where they were. So are these people saying that the last time there was a robbery in the Louvre, it was also the fault of a woman?
Well, I don't know.
Or the 2000...
Andrew, come back in.
Well, I think all they're saying is that if this person wasn't the best person for the job, wasn't the most qualified, and they were given the job anyway, and as a result of that there's been a security breach, that's a problem with the hiring mechanism. I mean, that is a problem with that. I think when it comes to the diversity, I agree with you that there will be circumstances where obviously there needs to be some kind of positive discrimination or whatever you want to call it. For instance, Northern Irish Police. It was absolutely clear that you needed to have more of a parity of Protestant and Catholic police. You needed, because there was systemic problems there, right? And no offence, Yasmin, you mentioned your own experience, but that was a long time ago. Well, no, I'm not saying you're old. I'm saying that was a long time ago.
It's still there are still loads and loads of areas in this country and particularly in France which are totally run by white men.
But you would rather, when you're getting on a plane, wouldn't you rather that the most qualified
don't
person was flying?
Listen to Trump's nonsense.
I'm asking you. Wouldn't you rather have the best qualified person?
Name me one plane crash that was caused by a disabled person, and we'll talk about it.
Trump claims that one was. I mean, that's.
How does he know?
Well, he doesn't know.
He doesn't
obviously,
know.
To me, it was amazing that he did that. I was shocked by it. We talked about it yesterday.
So wrong.
But you know, he obviously feels it resonates in some way. Brad in Essex, hello.
Hello there, Jeremy. Yes, I totally agree with Andrew. I'm going to have to say, once again, I disagree with Yasmin. I mean, especially when it comes to safety and security, it needs to be on merit. You can't sit there and have people in certain jobs just because of immutable factors like race, gender, so on and so forth. You need the best
this
person
is the argument.
for the job.
Hang on, Brad. The argument is this: you put a person of colour, into a job through choice, and other people are inspired to say, "I can do that job," and then a generation later, you get 15 columnists as good as Yasmin.
But it's also...
Yeah, see, I think, Yasmin, you're living in the past. You really are living in the past.
No, I'm not. It's still going on. And Brad, let me ask you...
Hang on, let Brad explain that comment.
Hang on, right? to even it out, do we then start going so far the other way, right, where we hire more and more people of all the either race or gender or that, or do we just say, look, we're in the 21st century now, we're in 2025, well into the 21st century, we just hire on merit. We just hire the best people for the job.
This is where I...
Yeah, Brad, let her come in.
This argument on merit, which says to me that you and Andrew think that white guys who got those jobs got it on merit. We have no evidence of that. We have had disasters which can be attributed to white men. Boris Johnson is one of them. The 2008 crash is another. All the
I
messes...
didn't think that the 2008 crash was related to the colour of the bankers. I really had never thought that.
That was white men in charge.
Wow.
They were.
Okay.
So all I'm saying is merit comes in different
shoes,
forms.
As well. You throw that in
but
as well,
I find it quite offensive that they're assuming that what was the traditional cohort got there on merit, when we know that there is boys networks, they push each other, they club each other. I mean, honestly, do we know
come
nothing?
back to Andrew. Okay, very interesting. I always think that in life, at about the age of 50, anyone who's privileged, like me,
and
all of us, should realise we didn't just get there through hard work. There's a point in life when you realise you were lucky, not least with your health. It's a big thing. Brad, thank you. Michelle in London. Michelle, this is a busy one. Hello.
It is very busy. Thank you for letting me get on the show. Jeremy, I love you, and I especially love Yasmin. She's awesome. I don't know the guy on the end. Anywho, Brad from Essex found it ridiculous. I 100% agree with Yasmin. It would be great if if employment was handed out based on meritocracy. It isn't. That's why there's DEI initiatives. That's why there's affirmative action in the states, or at least there was, just because there is an inequality. There is an imbalance. A lot of, let's not kid ourselves that sometimes deals are done on a golf course or at tennis with a wink, a handshake, and a smile. That's the way things are.
Andrew, come back on that.
This is an initiative to actually to create balance, because
let Andrew come. Michelle, listen to Andrew's reply.
Well, no, I do agree that discrimination is a thing and it does exist, and when it is identified, it should be stamped out. But that's not what DEI does. I mean, DEI, diversity, equity and inclusion, is actually the opposite of what it sounds like. When they say diversity, they mean political homogeneity. When they say inclusion, they mean exclusion of anyone with a different point of view. And when they say equity, they don't mean equality. It's the opposite of equality. Equity is treating people unequally in order to obtain identity-obsessed outcomes. It's just not the same thing.
Go on. Sorry, I can't hear. Go again.
My rebuttal to that is, I'm just kind of tired of this kind of doomsday hellscape that people are kind of portraying. If everyone was actually treated equal, if people from marginalized backgrounds are given the same kind of opportunities that have been naturally afforded to other non-minorities, basically. It's not as disastrous as what you think. And I'm so tired of people actually saying when something goes wrong, oh, that person was a DEI hire just because they are possibly melanated. No, it's not like... And for the record, for the air traffic control issue that happened and they said it was a DEI hire, it's not like they actually took someone, which is a noble profession, a janitor, and just instantly gave them the keys to the actual, the flight tower and said, here's your chance, mate. No, it doesn't work like that. And so I'm just so tired of any time anything happening, just saying DEI hire, like it's just someone who is low skill that just, have been handed the golden keys. It's not that. It's not like that.
Thank you. Michelle, always good to hear an American say the word mate, I think. Thank you, Michelle. Call again. I was remembering the DEI, because you're right, it's American. DNI is what you say, or DNI. DEI, I first came across when the Trump shooting happened. Now, I don't know if we've got the pictures here. So this is Butler, Pennsylvania. He's being led off the podium. The shooter was Thomas Crooks, as we know, who was killed. And what people started to say is, as you watch this, is that the agents around him, you can't see the ones who actually caused the problem here, a lot of them were women who tended to be short. And the short women were accused of almost leaving him unprotected. If he's a 6'2" guy, you've got to have 6'2" agents.
Doesn't this feed into what the last caller was saying? I mean, she's not wrong about this, is that whenever something goes wrong, people are now saying, oh, that's a DEI hire.
Yeah.
But that's a product of DEI because it makes us sceptical when it shouldn't. I mean, look, I think it's the idea that if you get a job, a high-powered job, and you're a minority, And you have to live with the fact that everyone's looking at you thinking you've only got that because of your sexual orientation
Oh, don't worry.
or whatever.
It's not a problem.
Well,
Let
it
us
is
just-
a problem.
No.
It's embarrassing.
I'm the person you're talking about. It's not
I'm
the
not
problem.
talking about you, Yasmin.
You're talking about the
but-
people
but-
like me.
well, no,
well,
For
no.
us, what's important is to get in there.
Okay, all right. And also, by this stage, you've been garlanded so many times.
Well-
we know how good you are, right? You don't have to prove anything. Linda in Kent, is this all about workplace diversity schemes being a mess?
Personally, I think so. I subscribe to the Anne Widdecombe idea, and I've heard her say it many times over the years. I am that old. If you've got the merit for the job and you're good enough for the job, then you should get it. But you should not get it just because you're a woman. I would be absolutely insulted if I thought that I was being given a job. I'm retired now. Just because I'm a woman.
But what
I would
about
find
the
that very
idea,
insulting.
Linda? When I was a teenager, I used to watch a guy called
Yes.
Robin Day, who was a brilliant. You'll remember
Yes.
him. He was a brilliant interviewer. I used to think, oh, one day I want to do that, right? And Robin Day he's this old, obviously white guy, big glasses, and he'd go, "Hello, good evening, and welcome." That's how he used to speak.
Yes.
There was no black equivalent of Robin Day. So the black version of me at 16 wasn't able to say, "I want to do that one day," and he might have thought, Linda, that there was no job for him.
Yes, but I might have thought the same thing as you.
True.
I might have. Can I tell you something now, Jeremy? When I was a teenager, I wanted to be a fighter pilot. That's what I aspired to be. I knew it was never, ever going to happen.
Oh,
I
I
wasn't
met a female
clever
fighter
enough.
pilot recently. But they're
Well,
very few.
yes, but I bet she was a lot younger than me. I'm 72. If I'd have gone to my youth employment interview when I was 15 and said I wanted to be a fighter pilot, they'd have dragged me away.
Yeah.
And said, "Go away, girl, you're being silly." But if I'd have got to be a fighter pilot on merit, not just because I was a young girl, I'd have been very proud.
All right,
But
that's
if
a
they'd
very
have
interesting
given me
example
that
because
job,
I think you could have benefited from DEI as a.
no, I wouldn't have wanted it.
Okay.
No.
Oh, you would have. I tell you, Linda,
You would have got
if you
in.
got it and you proved yourself, you would have been really grateful.
You're talking about the
You
past,
know,
Yasmin.
The
This is
fact
not the
that you
case.
lived in a world, wait, you lived in a world where they told you couldn't even dream that dream.
Yeah.
That was wrong.
It's true, but that is a while ago. I have met a woman, an amazing woman who was a female fighter pilot and was absolutely on her own for a while as well. Linda, thank you so much. Later, it's the papers and everything else, including the latest on a potential Trump-Putin summit, which isn't going well.